Today's topic is about the impact which social media can have on our day-to-day social interactions. So, what I'm basically going to do is discuss the potential implications which social media has on our day-to-day interactions with other people around us. And I'm going to basically talk about what happens to us as we begin to connect and try to establish relationships with other people, whether they're colleagues or people who we just know as our friends, or anyone else who we come across and we may be engaging with on a regular day-to-day basis. What is the impact of social media when it comes to those particular interactions? So I'm going to be discussing this particular topic, and I'm going to be looking at it from a very psychological perspective, i.e. what's happening within us in terms of our internal mindset. And then after I've discussed this, what I'll do is try to discuss some of the steps which we can take to basically overcome some of the negative impacts which social media can have on our day-to-day interactions with other people. Now, I'm not here to say that social media is all bad or it's really evil or anything like that. I'm just basically saying that in my own personal experience, I've found it to be something which is quite toxic and generally seems to make me quite unhappy as a person. I know people who tend to enjoy it and who find some kind of use from it, and that's totally fine. And this video is totally not for those people. This video is for people who may be experiencing the negative impacts of social media, and I'm going to be discussing that. And a lot of this is based on my own personal experience, and a lot of it's based on things which I've heard from my friends and colleagues around me. So this is essentially looking at the more negative elements of social media. So there's this particular caveat before I begin discussing the implications in detail. So I'm focusing on the negative element here. So what I've basically experienced is that I found that social media generally tends to exert a lot of pressure on us. So a lot of the times what I've experienced is that when I go online, for example, when I used to go on Facebook a lot, I would generally experience, and I was never someone who would go on it a lot. Like I would never went too down deep into the rabbit hole, but I've known some people who have gone down really deep. And what I would experience is that when I'm on there, I would basically feel a sense of comparison. I would almost feel like when I'm on there, if I'm posting something or if I'm saying something, I almost have to prove something to those around me, or rather to those who are my friends on this particular medium. And if you think about it, like a lot of the people in this particular dynamic, what you're going to experience is that you're basically trying to present an aspect of yourself which is the best version of you, or what you think the best version of you would be in the eyes of other people. And so what you're doing is you're going on here, you're basically noticing people that they may have brand new cars, they may have brand new jobs or really interesting jobs, they may be traveling a lot, they might be having really interesting experiences overall, even if they're living in the same city as you are. And all of these things, when you start observing them, you start feeling quite bad about yourself. You start thinking that you're basically doing something quite wrong with your life. You feel when you examine your life, maybe, I mean, this is something which I felt, that you might not be doing the right job, or you might not be sort of making the best out of your life. You may feel that you're boring or you're dull, or basically your life is not going anywhere and you feel a sense of stagnation as a result. And all of these experiences you're going to be gaining, or all of these thoughts or emotions you're going to be experiencing when essentially you're on this social media, whether that's Facebook or whether it's Instagram or whatever it is. And you're not going to feel very great about yourself as a result of that, and so what's going to happen is, after you've been on that, on a binge, for example, for an hour or 2 hours, whether that's on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, you're basically going to feel very bad about yourself, or quite poorly about yourself, because you're going to sense that or feel that you're not really going anywhere, that your life is not that great, and you're going to start feeling that you're doing something wrong with your life, and as a result you're going to start maybe thinking that there's something actually wrong with you as a person. which is the worst feeling to have in the world. And so what you have there is you're having a sense of inadequacy, which you're deeply experiencing in that particular moment. And that sense of inadequacy, if you use this regularly enough, if it's the first thing you're using when you're waking up in the morning and the last thing you're using when you go to sleep, I mean, this sense of inadequacy is going to stick with you for prolonged periods of time. And what that's going to start doing is that when you actually go and interact with these people, whether they're your friends or your colleagues, and you're actually seeing them on social media and you're seeing what they're up to, you're actually going to be you're living in that social media world. You're no longer living with them or interacting with them as that real person in that particular moment. You're no longer present with them. All you can think about is how bad you feel as a result of seeing what they've done and how exciting their life is, and how poorly you're doing, essentially. And this is going to have a negative impact in you interacting with that person because you're no longer present with them. All you can think of is this comparison which you're doing against them, or this comparison which you're stuck in. So that's not great. So that's implication number one, is that I've experienced that when we're on there too long, a lot of the time what's going to happen is that some element of this social media world is basically going to start dictating how you're perceiving people in real life. You're going to start seeing them through that particular lens and filter. And as you're doing that, you're basically not feeling very great about yourself. You feel that you're beneath other people a lot of the times, and it's quite a unpleasant emotion to experience. So that's implication number one. Implication number two, and then this is basically looking at this point but deeper, is that of course there's a sense of when you start doing this, when you start interacting with people in that particular way, where you're basically feeling a sense of inadequacy in relation to them, what's going to start happening is that you're going to start doubting yourself a lot. You're going to start feeling a sense of alienation from yourself, because a lot of the time, especially if you go too deep into it and you're posting a lot and you're basically trying to see how many likes you've got, you're trying to see how much approval or appreciation you're gaining, what you're going to start feeling is that you're going to start thinking that there's this other person who's basically posting all of this thing and who's living this other life, and then there's you, and you don't feel that great about yourself, and you have sort of these vulnerable emotions, and you feel quite sad sometimes you feel confused, but it's almost as if that you can't share any of that with the people who are on this particular medium. And because your interaction with these people on this medium, whether it's Facebook or anything else, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, because that is basically now seeping into your actual real life, what's happening is that your ability to be vulnerable in front of them, which doesn't exist on Facebook, or even if it does, it's so cliched, or it just feels so unreal because you're not really experiencing that sense of empathy which you would have if you're sitting in front of a person and communicating with them face to face, where you'd have body language and the tone of your voice and all sorts of other cues. Because you don't have that, what you're going to actually have is that basically the interaction which you're having with people, your Facebook friends who are now your actual real life friends too, is not going to feel real enough. You're going to start feeling alienated from yourself and anxious about who you are as a person, essentially. Because a lot of the vulnerable feelings you're feeling cannot really be expressed adequately within this medium, and because it's impacting your real life now, you feel that you can't really be truly vulnerable in front of people now either, because there's this sense that you have to present this best self, in front of other people. And when you start being vulnerable, people might be shocked or surprised, or you might start basically feeling a sense of shame because you've become so used to presenting this positive element of your life that now that if you have to express something sad, you second guess twice about actually admitting it to another person, because you think everyone's doing so much better than you. And if you're feeling sad, then there's something wrong with you that you're feeling sad. It's not that your sadness is actually legitimate. And so as a result, you're just not going to feel confident enough sharing that. So that's implication number two, and that's a big implication, because a lot of the times the relationships which we form with other people are not only based on positive interactions and everything going perfectly. A lot of the times our real friends are the ones who are with us when things are not going that great, and who can provide a listening ear or provide some sense of support to us when things aren't that great. And because of this particular medium, we feel that we can't really be vulnerable, or we can't be truly vulnerable, and as a result, it's actually having a negative impact on our day-to-day interactions with our friends or colleagues or whoever else it is, And so that's a huge implication, I think. And implication 3 is just basically this, but going deeper, which is that if we start feeling alienated from ourselves, whereby we think that we're living or presenting a self which is not really us, then what that can lead is to a sense of isolation, a sense of anxiety about interacting with other people, because it's going to bring up all sorts of negative emotions you have about yourself again, and that's going to push you more into isolation. And as a result of feeling this isolation, what you can experience is a deep sense of loneliness, you know. And loneliness will kill, loneliness will destroy any remnant of happiness which is in any other area of your life. If you feel deeply lonely, something could be going quite well for you, but because you have that deep sense of loneliness, you won't really be able to see that, you know, anymore. And so loneliness is horrible, and I think a lot of the times, if that's really deep and you have this sensitivity to it anyway, that can push you into a deep sense of depression as well, you know. So what I'm saying is that implication number 3 is quite dark, in the sense that if you start feeling really lonely and you start feeling a sense of dissociation from other people around you, then that is going to have a hugely negative, impeding effect on your ability to live a happy and fulfilled life, you know. And that's implication number 3. And so from my perspective, social media can at times push us into that particular direction, and that direction is a horrible direction to go into. And so this is my perspective. This is how I see social media. I don't really look at it from a positive perspective. I know other people do, and that's fine. But I think my perspective is that it has a lot more negative aspects to it than positive aspects. And so as a result, I rarely ever use it. I deleted Facebook for a while, and these days I rarely go on it, and when I do go on it, I don't feel that great, so I just avoid it basically. And I know my friends, and some of them have actually just deleted Facebook, and to be honest, they seem a lot happier and more fulfilled as a result of doing it. I'm not saying that's the only thing which is fulfilling them, but I'm saying that it's actually a contributing factor to them feeling a lot better about themselves, you know. So I guess to resolve this issue, you could just get rid of social media. You could just completely stop using it. And from my perspective, a large amount of reduction in the amount of time you're spending on social media, or completely deleting some of the social media apps which you're using a lot and they're kind of draining your energy and your well-being. I think that is the way to do it, basically. You just get rid of it, or you radically reduce it. The extreme aspect can be useful because then you won't be tempted by it, but the radical reduction can be useful as well. Now, I think the thing which is going to happen is that when you delete Facebook, for example, a lot of people are going to freak out. They may just think that, you know, what is it? What's going on with you? Why have you done this? A lot of the times you may be getting in touch with people through that. And I think what you would have to do is that the friends who you're actually genuinely close to, you'd be able to communicate with them through other mediums like WhatsApp or texting or calling. I'm not saying you have to stop using those things, you know, but in order to you don't need to use Facebook in order to be a viable, functioning member of society. I think that's just a thought, or that's just a selling point which people are telling us. I don't think that's actually true. So you just get rid of it. And also, one thing which may happen when you get rid of it, or why you might be afraid to get rid of it, is because you think that people will dislike you. They think you're weird. They'll think you're a bit of a strange person who's just deleting Facebook in this day and age, you know. But I'm here to say that basically, if you do it, the people are going to end up disliking you as a result of doing it and think you're weird. Why are you wanting to gain their approval in the first place? I think you should just accept that some people are not going to like you, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to go around seeking their approval because they're not your real friends in the first place, you know. If you have to jump through hoops and you have to post things and write things and all of that, and then someone is kind of looking at you with some sense of admiration in your mind, that's not really a friendship. That's something else. It's some kind of egoic thing which you're playing, egoic game which you're playing and they're playing, and it's a horrible experience. So I say just get rid of it or radically reduce it. Then another thing which is going to help you a lot in this, I think, is basically start having real interactions with people. Go and speak to your family members. Try to re-engage with them. And the time you're wasting posting shit and trying to do such just so you can post shit is not going to help you, because it's just making you ultimately feel poorly about yourself, and you constantly have to feel like you have to do the next thing so that you can feel okay again, you know, and you're never really quite there. So What I'm saying is go and interact with your family members, because they are going to give you something which is real, because you've known them for a long time, and there's a deep sense of satisfaction which can come from that, you know. They know you for you. Try to re-establish your connection with them. Try to re-establish your connections with your genuine, real friends. Go and hang out with them. Speak to them face to face. Have a one-on-one interaction. Don't just go and get wasted or something in these large group settings where you don't really know what's going on and you're not really interacting with anyone in an intimate way. Go and have a coffee with someone. Go on a walk with someone. Hang out with 2 or 3 or 4 of your friends and actually have a real conversation with them. Let them know what's going on with you. Find out what's going on with them. And I think that's going to have an immensely positive impact on your well-being, you know. So that's step number 2, is start having real interactions with other people. The third thing which I found, which is so helpful in terms of helping us feel better about ourselves, is just start exercising regularly. Like, that's so useful. Just hit the gym once every day, if not every day, then at least every other day, or do some kind of physical activity on a regular basis where you feel that you're in touch with your body again, you know. That's going to be so helpful. And start eating good food. Stop eating crap like crisps and chocolate. Just start eating normal, healthy food. Include vegetables in your diet. Have some pasta or something. Have food which is good for you, you know, and you know what food is good for you. Like, we all know what is healthy food and what's unhealthy food, and I'm just saying, make that choice and start eating a little healthier, you know, and you'll feel the difference in your mood. With a good diet and exercise, like, it will start shifting how you start looking at things, you know, and you won't feel bad about yourself again, because you'd be in good shape, you'd have energy, and it's just going to make you so much better all around. And then the third thing, and this is quite an important thing, and this is a subtle point, but I just want to hammer it because I think it's so important, is start feeling good about yourself. Like, a lot of the times we start feeling really bad about ourselves because we think we're not worthy of love or affection, but if we look around, a lot of people really like us. Those are our family members, they're our friends, they may be our colleagues as well, and all we do is fixate on that one thing which someone said like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and it's just not helpful. It doesn't do anything. There's so many other people who like you and care for you. Keep that in mind, because it's so valuable to do that, you know. And when you keep that in mind, the next time when you go and speak to that person, when you face, I'm not saying lie to yourself, really think about a time when this person was kind to you and when they cared for you. And I'm telling you, you'll be able to do that, because there's so many times and so many moments when you'd have clear-cut evidence that this person and these people really like you. And deep down, if you think about it, if you look beyond the veil of all the kind of crap which you might be thinking about yourself or about other people, if you really think about it, you can find a sense of goodness in yourself, and you can find a sense of goodness in them, and you can find a sense of connection which you have with that person. I'm telling you, regardless of who it is, when I think like this, I can find a sense of connecting point, you know. And you can do that with anyone, and it's just about giving it a shot and giving it a go. Think warmth and experience warmth, and try to connect with people on that basis. Don't overthink crap which like they did or said like 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago or something like that. Don't hold on to that, because it's so easy to hold on to that, but it doesn't do us any good. It's just torture for you and for the next person when you go speak to them next time, because you're like carrying all this crap in your mind, you know, and they can sense that, and the conversation just goes haywire. So focus on the fact that you have a deep sense of goodness and love and kindness inside of you, and try to see that in other people as well, and connect with them on that basis. And I'm telling you, you can do that, man. And it's so natural and it's so easy that you can do it, because I do it on a day-to-day basis. I genuinely try to do this, and every time I've done it, I found it to be immensely useful. So you have these 3 tips. Get rid of social media, or radically reduce it, because it's going to just make you feel like crap. Start eating good food, start exercising regularly, start having real interactions with your friends and your family members, and remember that people really do care for you, and they genuinely do care for you. I'm telling you that. And you know, you do this and you're going to start feeling a shift in the way you start seeing things, and the way you look at your life and all of that. Doing that, and then you're going to start escaping the grip of social media, and you're going to start feeling better about yourself. You're going to start feeling like you are someone who's actually living a truly interesting and engaging life, not this crap which you're trying to fake and tell yourself lies and other people lies that something's interesting. Real engagement is about doing shit which is interesting to us and truly engaging for us, you know. And some of the things which I've said, I think these are the things which really touch us and make life interesting and meaningful. So I hope you found this video interesting, and I hope you find it of use. And I don't mean to just say that social media is all bad again. It's just my own personal experience, and if you disagree with this, that's totally okay. This video is then clearly not relevant for you, and that's totally fine. It's just that my experience and the people around me, their experience with social media hasn't been that great, and basically I'm just creating this video to talk about that and discuss that. And so yeah, I hope you found this useful, and see you guys next time.